Chase has arguably the most well-known credit card trifecta on the market, consisting of the Chase Freedom Flex, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, and either the $95 Chase Sapphire Preferred or the $795 Chase Sapphire Reserve. With decent everyday multipliers, good transfer partners, and really solid purchase protections from the annual fee cards, it's easy to understand why this setup has become a staple in many people's wallets, including my own. However, credit cards are changing very rapidly, and in today's game, it's starting to feel a little bit less competitive when compared to other duos and trios from banks like Capital One, Citi, and even Wells Fargo. So today, I just wanted to make a video talking about my wish list slash what I would do if I were in charge of the cards at Chase and how I would kind of tweak them in order to make them a little bit more competitive in today's market. Hi, guys. My name is Evan, and on this channel, I talk about all things related to credit card reward travel. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in learning more about, make sure you subscribe down below so you don't miss any videos. In this video, the cards that I'm going to focus on refreshing are going to consist of the Chase Freedom Flex, the Freedom Unlimited, and the Sapphire Preferred. While I know that there are a lot of mixed reviews on the Sapphire Reserve at the moment, I personally don't hold it, but in my opinion, it seems like a decent enough travel card that while I do have one small tweak that I would make to it, it really isn't something that I'm going to focus on completely revamping. So for this video, it's just going to be those three cards. So before we get into what I'd actually like to see from the cards, let's just kind of cover what they are right now and what you can get with them in their current state. So the Chase Freedom Flex is going to give you 5 times points on up to $1,500 in spend on rotating quarterly categories. So quarter one, two, three, and four are each going to offer different categories, and you earn 5 times points per dollar on those categories. You're also going to get 5 times points per dollar on Chase Travel, 3 times points per dollar on dining and drugstores, and then a flat 1x on everything else. Now, while the elevated earnings of 5x on certain daily categories, like in quarter one of 2026, you've got dining, can be decent, at the end of the day, my bone to pick with this card is just the fact that rotating quarterly category cards are either super awesome or they don't get used. Like they'll sit in the wallet for 3 to 6 months, and it's kind of like, why am I even using this card? Why do I have it in my wallet? And I think that the rotating quarterly category concept is kind of outdated, and I would like to see some flex in the ability to choose what those categories are. So we'll go over that in just a moment. As for the Chase Freedom Unlimited, right now you're going to get 5 times points per dollar again on Chase Travel. You're going to get, again, 3 times points per dollar on dining and drugstores, and then a flat 1.5x on everything else. Now, while this is like the decent catch-all option from Chase, at the end of the day, 1.5 times points per dollar on miscellaneous spend just isn't as competitive as it used to be, especially when banks like Capital One, Citi, and Wells Fargo, with decent transfer partners, if not great transfer partners, are all offering flat 2x on everything cards. And I think that just 1.5 times points is just kind of outdated, and a true catch all should be 2 times points per dollar. For the $95 a year Chase Sapphire Preferred, you get the travel partners. So you unlock all of Chase's transfer partners. That's Hyatt, United, Southwest, Air Canada Aeroplan. And this card allows you to send your points to those partners to be able to book travel. You also get 5 times points per dollar on Chase Travel. You get 3 times points per dollar on select streaming services, online groceries, and then, drumroll please, you guessed it, dining. You get a 3x on dining on all three of these cards. You're also going to get 2 times points per dollar on general travel, which is a very generous and broad category from Chase. This even includes things like parking, tolls, ferries, things like that, which is decent. And then 1 times point per dollar on everything else. Now, along with the multipliers, the Chase Sapphire Preferred does come with a couple little benefits to help try and offset the annual fee. You're going to get things like a $50 card member year discount off of Chase Travel hotels. So once per card member year, you book a hotel through Chase Travel, and they're going to take $50 off. And then you're also going to get a DoorDash Dash Pass membership for an entire year. So that's technically valued at $120, but it's really only valued at that if you would have paid that otherwise. And then you also get a $10 per month discount on a grocery order through Dash Pass as well. So technically this can't be used, or not technically, it can't be used for like dining or ordering from like restaurants, but things like 7-Eleven technically code as groceries through the Dash Pass. So being able to take off $10 a month from like a 7-Eleven order nets you $120 from that. So all in all, for a $95 a year annual fee card, you're looking at like $290 worth of value, which is really solid and good at offsetting the annual fee. But again, only if you were to have used those things to begin with. But the whole point of the Chase Sapphire Preferred has never been to extract like maximum value from this card. It's been the fact that this card gives you access to Chase's transfer partners. That's where the value comes from. And just using your little $50 hotel credit, maybe, and being able to work your annual fee down to $45 and paying $45 a year to have Chase's transfer partners is what this card was, I think, designed to be and how most people use it. And there's not really anything wrong with that. Now, I don't really have a huge bone to pick with this card, and in my opinion, it is a solid $95 card in a vacuum. However, it's when you start to zoom out and you look at this card and the rest of the lineup and how much overlap it has, not only with the free cards, but how big of a gap there is between the $95 and the $795 version. You've got absolutely nothing in between. And that to me makes the Sapphire Preferred feel kind of lackluster because it doesn't really have the chance to shine when it overlaps with dining on all four cards. You're getting weak travel multipliers and then only a flat 1x on everything else. So while I think that the card is decent, I think that it's just when you look at the lineup as a whole is where the weaknesses really start to show. All right, now that we've covered the cards in their current state, I want to go over kind of my ideas for how I would like to see them refreshed. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the Chase Freedom Flex. Now, I think that having variable categories on a card is not bad, but again, the rotation aspect is outdated. And so I think that they should remodel this card to follow either the PayPal debit or the US Bank Cash Plus card. Now, the PayPal debit, which I have personally in my wallet, I think it's a great card, is going to offer you 5% cash back on up to $1,000 in spend per month on a category of your choosing. And those categories consist of gas, dining, groceries, apparel, and like transit and rideshare. And then the US Bank Cash Plus gives you 5% cash back on some niche categories that I'll go over in a second. On up to $2,000 in spend, you get to pick two. So $2,000 in spend every quarter, and then 2% cash back on another everyday category. I'll put all the categories up here on the screen, but the main ones are going to be fast food, utilities, TV, internet, and streaming, cell phones, electronics stores, and department stores. And then the 2x categories are going to be your everyday ones, the groceries, the restaurants, and then the gas and EV charging. So while I don't think that you really need to copy the model of the PayPal debit card or the US Bank Cash Plus exactly, I do think that it should be similar. And here's what I propose. Keep the 5 times points on Chase Travel. That's fine. They want you to be involved in their portal, and they made that very clear with the refresh of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and it's optional. So I don't have a problem with it. Keep the elevated earnings on the Chase Travel. I think that we need to scrap automatic 3x on dining and drugstores and move those to selectable categories, and then make the card selectable. So I think that you should get to choose two 3x categories for a combined $750 a month, and then one uncapped 2x category. I think that categories should include gas, dining, groceries, and drugstores, and then some fun ones as well, like online retail, sporting goods stores, transit and rideshare, gym memberships, and then even you could even throw in like a self-care category, like spas and salons, things like that. I think that on the 3x categories, this makes sense. It's not quite as high of a spending limit as the PayPal debit card, but it still nets you this almost the same amount of points as 5 times points per dollar on the rotating category model that we have right now. So, and then an uncapped 2x on like a miscellaneous category is not going to break the bank for Chase. And then give us 1x on everything else. So I think that this gives the real flex to the card is you get to choose your category every month. But I also think that that should be almost the catch is that you have to select your category every month. For those of you that also have the PayPal debit card, you know that on the first of the month, PayPal deselects your category and you have to reselect what you want before you can use it again. And if you don't, you just earn no cash back. And I think that that's what it should be for this card too. It's not for an entire quarter, but your categories also don't roll over. You do have to pick them every month. And if you don't, if you forget, like I've done before with the PayPal debit card, then you forego points for whatever purchases you're making without categories selected. So while it would be ideal if they rolled over and you could just change them whenever you want, that's unrealistic. You pick your 3x and 2x categories to last the 1st through the 30th or 31st, and then it resets and you have to pick at the beginning of every month. Now, for the Chase Freedom Unlimited, this one is much simpler. Keep the 5x on Chase Travel. Again, optional, so it doesn't really matter. They want us to be in their portal. Let us be in your portal if you want us to. Scrap the dining and drugstores. Again, you made those selectable on the Chase Freedom Flex. And if I really want to earn over there on those categories, I can with the other card. and just make it a 2x catch all. So it is going to be nothing but 5x on Chase Travel, 2x on everything else. I think that when you move those categories, dining and drugstores, over to the Freedom Flex and you make them selectable, and then give 2x to this one, you make them more of a dynamic duo and just more competitive overall, as opposed to having 1.5 on everything and then we're sharing some categories and we've got 5x on this sometimes and we both got 5x on Chase Travel. No, get rid of the overlappedness. It's not even a word. I just made that up right now. Overlappedness, add it to the dictionary. Get rid of it and make it so that they work together, but maybe the cap on the rewards is a little bit lower. I don't know. I think that this would make them just a little bit more cohesive and align more similarly to like a city custom cash and double cash setup, right? Where you get to essentially pick your category. Um, I just think that these cards would work better together if it was 2x catch all, scrap the overlapping categories, and force you to make the choice that you want on the Freedom Flex. Now, as for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, like I said, this card in and of itself isn't terrible. So I'm going to say raise the annual fee, right? We can't have a $700 gap. Raise the annual fee from $95 to $150 and keep the card the same multiplier wise. Again, the multipliers aren't bad. 3x on streaming is a fun one. 3x on online groceries isn't terrible. 3x on dining is solid. And now you get 3x dining without having to choose it if you pay for this card. And then 2x on travel is good as well. Again, it's a beginner travel card. I don't think that you should be getting any crazy elevated multipliers, but I think that that would be fine for a $150 card. I think that we need to scrap the Dash Pass and the DoorDash, the $10 a month credit that comes with it right now, and then throw in a different either $10 a month credit or maybe two $50 Sapphire tables credits. You could even keep the $50 hotel credit that comes on it right now, but if you gave me two $50 Sapphire tables credits, $50 in the first half of the year, $50 in the second half of the year, and then kept the hotel credit, gave us another $10 a month credit. You're looking at, being able to brag that your card has, what, $270 worth of value per year. Um, that's not bad for a $150 annual fee card. And it also keeps it so that this card, you don't need to use the credits to get value out of it because you're paying to be able to use the transfer partners. That's what the Chase Sapphire Preferred has been for a long time now. The Chase Sapphire Preferred has never been a card where you try and get a $0 annual fee. It's something where you just accept the fact that you're paying for the card to be able to access Chase's transfer partners. And I think that these types of credits would keep it that way, where maybe I'm not getting it down to zero or below zero, but what's left over is paid for by the fact that I get to use Chase's transfer partners. So, like I said earlier, the card isn't bad in a vacuum. It's just when you look at it compared to the rest of the lineup that it starts to fall apart. However, when we make the changes to the other two cards, like I just mentioned, now all of a sudden it's not looking too bad. So, while I don't think that the card should really be refreshed, what I think should happen now is introduce the mid tier travel card. Give us a $275 to $350 annual fee card. You could call it the Chase Sapphire Select, right? You've got the preferred, the select, and the reserve. I don't know, Chase, feel free to use that. I think that's pretty fire. And for multipliers, it gets a little bit better than the preferred, but again, not quite as good as the reserve. I think that we should go 6 times points per dollar on Chase Travel, 4 times on dining, 4 times on groceries, 2.5 times travel, 1x everything else. Now, as for multipliers, I think that this is a good option to be able to kind of take on the Amex Gold because Chase has made it very clear that they want to compete with Amex, but you can't compete with Amex without trying to do some of the good stuff that Amex is doing, right? Like the 4x on dining, 4x on groceries. And I think that people are willing to pay $325 dollars a year for the gold. Who wouldn't be willing to pay $350 a year to be able to get that from Chase, right? So I think that this is kind of the more lifestyle-ish card that exists between a baby travel card and a premium travel card and kind of fits into the daily slot for multipliers. As for credits on this card, I would like to see maybe another two $50 semi-annual Chase Sapphire Tables credits. So again, one from January to June, another from July to December. And then I think the Dash Pass should come from the Chase Sapphire Preferred over to this card, and then scrap the $10 a month grocery benefit and make it $15 a month. Just one credit, not a 5, and a 5, or a 10 and a 5 like the Sapphire Reserve right now. No, bring the Dash Pass to this card. You get one $15 a month grocery credit, and I think that that kind of, again, fits into the more lifestyle aspect of this card. I think that you should also get two semi annual $75 Chase travel credits. These can be restricted to hotels or activities or something to make them difficult to use because that's the era of credit cards that we're in. Like, we just got to accept that now. But I think that two semi annual $75 Chase travel credits would be not terrible, right? So, in total value for credits, we're looking at $100 from the Chase Sapphire tables. We're looking at 120 technically from the Dash Pass, 180 from the $15 a month grocery orders, 150 from the travel credits. So overall, that already right there, if you use them, exceeds the annual fee. And then I think that the cherry on top, if you're paying $350 for a card, we should be given 4 annual passes to Sapphire Lounges. And I know that lounge crowding is an issue right now. However, I think that Chase's network is small enough that crowding isn't really an issue, but it's expanding rapidly enough to have annual passes be an option and let this get people excited about potentially upgrading to the Sapphire Reserve and getting unlimited access to the Sapphire Lounges. So that would be like the cherry on top, where even if you don't get a net zero annual fee on this card, you still get something to use when you travel and get like that light premium travel experience. And for people in like a two-player setup like myself, those could be burned in literally one trip, right? If I'm taking myself and my girlfriend into a lounge, that's 2 passes. And if both airports that I'm going to have Sapphire lounges, that's all 4 passes burned right there. So I don't think that it would be anything too crazy. I don't think that it would contribute to overcrowding. And I also don't think that it's too much to look at and go, that's too much for a $350 card. I think it's plenty. Now, again, I did mention that I think that the Sapphire Reserve is fine, which I do. Again, I don't hold the card. I would like to one day if I can get a welcome offer for it. But as of right now, to me, it seems decent. I've heard it's okay. So the only change that I think that I would make to it at the moment is to just bump up the dining from 3x to 4x. And this is just so you're not getting outclassed by your lower annual fee cards, but then it also kind of rounds out the multipliers. It makes it easier, it makes it nicer to look at, and it brings the multipliers to 8x everything Chase travel, and then 4x dining, direct airfare, and direct and hotels, 1x everything else. Right? This is your multipliers are really travel focused with dining thrown in there as like a little bonus. All of your credits are still focused on travel and dining and experiences and premium lifestyle. You get the unlimited airport lounge access. The other DoorDash credits that are already on it, like I said, I wouldn't change anything else about the card. But I just think that if you bumped up the 4x dining, now all of a sudden you're looking at a very well-rounded lineup. All right, now for the recap, let's go ahead and just very quickly rapid fire through what this lineup would look like as a whole. So you'd start with the Chase Freedom Flex. You're going to get 5x on Chase Travel, 2 selectable 3x categories for up to $750 a month in spend, and then 1 uncapped 2x category. The Chase Freedom Unlimited is going to scrap the dining in the drugstores, and you're just going to have 5 times Chase Travel and 2x everything else. It's a great little catch all card. Then we're gonna kind of keep the Sapphire Preferred the same. Multiplier wise, up the annual fee from 95 to 150, maybe throw on some different credits, but for the most part, that one stays kind of where it's at. And then we throw in the Chase Sapphire Select. We're gonna have a $350 realistically, $350 annual fee card. You're gonna get 6x on Chase Travel, 4x on dining, 4x on groceries, 2.5 times on general travel, 1x everything else, and the credits to offset that would consist of two $50 Chase Sapphire table credits, the Dash Pass with the $15 a month per one use on a grocery order, 2 semi-annual $75 Chase travel credits. Again, that can be restricted to hotels or something like that, like the original Chase Sapphire Preferred. Doesn't really matter, but $75 a month on Chase Travel, and then 4 annual lounge passes to Sapphire lounges. And when you take this, again, is this ever going to happen? Probably not, no. But in my opinion, I think that this can really get Chase out of the mud that it feels like they're stuck in at the moment, right? Their current card lineup just doesn't feel competitive. And when you've got other banks with great transfer partners like Citi getting to American Airlines, Choice Hotels, Preferred Hotels, Capital One's got all the essentials. Wells Fargo has the essentials. Amex has the essentials and more, right? I feel like this makes the earning potential higher while not breaking Chase's bank. It makes it more usable for everyday people, more competitive amongst other banks, and overall just a better experience when using Chase cards. Like I said, Chase cards really unfortunately don't get pulled out of my wallet now that I've got more competitive cards like the gold, like the platinum, like the venture, and for that reason, like I would love to earn in Chase Ultimate Rewards points. I'd love to earn in that ecosystem, but at the end of the day, when you're just not as competitive like they are right now, it's kind of hard to justify wanting to pull a chase card out of my wallet. And I think that kind of just removing the overlapping categories from all of the cards, making you pick and choose what card you want to have and where you want to use it, and then introducing that mid tier card is really what Chase needs to be able to really round out their lineup and make it more cohesive as a whole. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but hopefully you guys enjoyed kind of hearing my rambly thoughts on what I think Chase should do to refresh their cards. If you liked the video, make sure to let me know in the comments down below and subscribe so you guys don't miss another one. And I'll see you guys in the next video.